If he is a zombie and he is dead, does that mean he's just like permanently slanging it at full mast? Because, you know, rigor mortis and everything? Hello, and welcome to Fallen Devotion. This is a dark romance visual novel in which 3 years has passed since your best friend Clive died. However, he's now back, but this time, his love for you is no longer pure and warm. Let's get started. I'm excited for this, it looks really good. I love the design of Clive as well. What pronouns do you use? She, her. Hope in reality is the worst of all evils, because it prolongs the torments of man. Frederick Nietzsche. Grief isn't something you can outrun, no matter how fast you try to move. It'll always catch up to you, and yet I keep running. Running from the shadows of my own mistakes, from the choices I could have made. Let's freaking go. I love a game that explores grief and death. The same scene replayed in my mind like a broken record. No matter how much time passes, it refuses to fade. Sharper than any right it has to be. Like an old wound reopened without a warning. The rooftop of our school, so much larger than I remember, is stretched out under the expanse of the endless sky. Back then, it felt like the world itself stretched out forever. It was the last day before summer break. The air clung to my skin, heavy with the smell of rain. The clouds rolled slowly, like silent witnesses to a promise I barely understood at the time. In a way they almost mirror the dread coiling in my chest. Clive was already there when I arrived, leaning against the edge like he belonged to that spot. The faint breeze tugged at the strands of his purplish black hair, plastered against his neck from the damp air. Usually he would have greeted me by now, maybe with his usual grin, maybe a stupid joke, but that day he just stood there in silence. I hesitated, watching him from a distance. There was something off about him, like a light dim from within. He looked smaller somehow. I forced myself to step forward. My voice cracked through the humid air. Clive, it's starting to rain. What are you still doing here? He didn't answer right away. When he turned to me, his expression knocked the air out of my lungs. His eyes, usually full of life, were distant, hollow like he wasn't even seeing me. It relaxes me. Oh, he's so cute. He genuinely seems so precious and so cute. Oh, I love him. I want to protect him so badly. It relaxes me, he said, his voice lower than I'd ever heard it. It helps me think. There was something wrong. This wasn't him. This wasn't the Clive I knew, the guy who couldn't sit still for more than 5 seconds. Who filled every silence with laughter or nonsense to keep the world at bay. Clive, what's wrong? I asked. My own voice sounded so small. He exhaled, his gaze drifting back to the horizon. Do you ever feel like everything is about to change, and no matter what you do, you can't stop it? Yes. His words hit like a bullet to the chest. He wasn't just asking about summer break. There was something deeper, something heavier, and I didn't know how to answer. I stayed quiet. What could I say? Clive wasn't just my best friend. He was almost part of me. My shadow, always there, always solid. Seeing him like this, it was like watching the beginning of a storm about to tear through something unshakable. What do you mean by that? I don't know. I just have this feeling like we'll grow apart after the summer. No, I wouldn't let that happen. His hands fidgeted at his sides, fingers curling and uncurling like he was searching for something to hold on to. Forget it. I'm just being stupid. I didn't know what to say again. I didn't know how to bridge the gap that suddenly felt so huge between us. So instead, I pulled out the small present I'd been holding onto. It was a silver guardian bell, tiny but meaningful. I'd been planning to give it to him later, but seeing him like this, I couldn't wait. I'd been thinking about buying it for him for months, ever since his 18th birthday when he wouldn't shut up about his new bike and license. It's for your bike. It's to keep you safe on the road since you love acting like you have 9 lives. I held it out to him. The moment he realized what it was, his entire face lit up. I was supposed to give it to you later, but I hope it cheers you up. You're so cute. I don't want anything to happen to you. I love you so much already. You're such a sweetheart. For a moment, he looked like a puppy with a new toy, his face softening despite the tears that threatened to spill any moment. Crap. I was trying not to cry and then you... His hands trembled as he held the bell close, his expression shifting from shock to pure joy. You didn't have to, but I'll keep it with me and treasure it like it's my child. This is better than... The words tumbled out of him so fast that they were almost incoherent. His voice cracked halfway through, and he wiped at his eyes with the back of his hand. Clive, calm down. He took a small breath, holding the bell like it was the most precious thing in the world. It's just... I thought you got tired of me, but this means... He trailed off, looking up at me with a vulnerability that made my heart ache. Of course you matter to me, silly. He paused, taking a deep breath flushed with emotion. Do you promise not to leave me then? I promise. Why do I have a feeling this is going to come back and bite me in the behind? His voice was quieter now, and the question hung in the air between us. He looked like he wanted to say something more but couldn't. His fingers brushed against the bell with a hint of hesitation again, as if he was afraid it might disappear. I have no idea what's making you overthink so much, but I promise I'm not going anywhere. His smile returned, softer this time. but there was something behind it. I didn't know it then, but that promise would haunt me. I didn't know how much he needed to hear it now, or how much I'd regret breaking it. But why? Why did I break it? He smiled at me, a glimmer of hope in his tired eyes. I could not but feel the weight of that promise settle heavily in my chest even though I smiled back at him. My thoughts were cut off as a strange static sound filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. My eyes darted around, searching desperately for Clive. He was nowhere to be seen, as if he had never been there in the first place. What is going on? The sky darkened, turning an angry shade of red. The static rolled in my ears, drowning out my thoughts and my screams. I gripped the railing, trying to steady myself as the sound grew louder, making my head throb with pain. Then his voice cut through it all. Don't you think you're forgetting something? What is happening? I froze. My heart dropped. What happened? He's dead. He's been dead for 3 years. It's too late now, you filthy liar. Liar. Wait. Oh no. He only had you, and yet you betrayed him. If only you had answered his phone calls back then. I wake with a jolt, chest heaving like I just run a marathon. My heart slams relentlessly against my ribs. If it beats any harder, it might as well just burst out free. I'm very nervous by this mood counter in the top corner. Hang on, I might actually move myself up here. As long as we can see his hearts, I think that's okay. Dragging a shaky hand against my chest, I press against it, hoping it might steady it a bit. Am I checking if I'm alive, or just forcing my heart to stay put? As my vision adjusts, the familiar outline of my room slowly comes into focus. The glow of the street lamp filtering through my curtains. My desk chair, buried under the pile of clothes I swore I'd deal with last week. Everything is exactly how I left it. Normal. Safe. Is it really? Somebody's gonna come and eat me. Maybe in the hot way. I let out a sigh of relief. Just another nightmare. The same one that's been haunting me for weeks now. Yawning, I reach out towards the drawer next to me, fumbling in the dim light for the water bottle I always kept there just in case. As the cool plastic touches my lips, a faint glow catches my eye. My phone. It lit up. For a moment, I just stare at it. Who in their right mind would text me at this hour? Not like I have much of a social life these days. Social anything, really. My social skills kinda got messed up after Clive. The thought stings more than it should. Probably Daryl. I mutter under my breath. My lips twist into a humorless smile. He's my coworker and the only one who ever texts me anymore. He's practically dragged me out of the house after everything fell apart, said work would be a healthy distraction, and annoyingly he was right. But even Daryl wasn't insane enough to text me this early. I frown, the unease curling in my stomach as I reach for the phone. The message was brief, but just a few words. But as I read them, the air seems to thicken around me, each syllable sinking in like claws digging into my flesh. Remember your promise. Where? Look, Clive, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened back then, but as a player right now, I really love you and I would love to be with you if you're still kind of down to finagle it. My stomach twists painfully, a chill racing down my spine. I lower the phone, hoping, praying that I misread it. But no, the message is still there. Do nothing. I stare at the screen, my breath catching in my throat. Before I can think of a reply, the message vanishes. What the? I stare at the empty screen, my heart hammering in my ears. Maybe I'd imagined it. Lack of sleep could do that, right? I haven't been getting enough sleep these days, just my tired brain playing tricks on me. Yeah, that has to be it. Shaking off the lingering unease, I swing my legs over the side of the bed. Getting ready will help me clear my head. Nothing better than a shower to try and wash away all of that negativity. I make my way to the bathroom, my feet dragging against the floor. The day has barely begun and I'm exhausted already. The hot water seems to soothe away the tension in my muscles. But even as I step out, the towel wrapped around me, the memory of that message still lingers. I rub at the fogged mirror, my reflection staring back at me from behind the streaks. Tired eyes, eye bags, someone who hasn't had a good sleep in months. Whoa, hey, this is getting a bit personal here. Just because I have an awful sleeping pattern. I throw on my uniform with muscle memory alone. Just another day of playing human doormat for customers who think service equals servant. Can't wait. Stepping outside, the cool morning air brushes against my skin, waking me up enough to function. The world feels heavy. I haven't gotten a break at all and my classes are starting in a week. As I walk down the street, a piece of paper flutters by my shoes. It's crumpled, but the handwriting is unmistakable. I miss you. Oh no. I really like where this is going. I'm getting like some horror elements and I'm really liking this. Unease washes over me, but I shove the feeling aside. My mind is playing tricks again. If I keep this up, I'll genuinely start questioning reality. I keep moving, the sounds of my own footsteps grounding me as I reach the cafe. The streets are unusually quiet until I see it parked across the road. A motorcycle, a Fireblade, Clive's Fireblade. I don't know if it's the dreams, sleeping barely 3 hours a night, or no, it doesn't make sense. After the accident, it was unrecognizable. My stomach twists as I crouch, checking the shiny bell near the exhaust just to be sure. Same incisions. No way. There's no way. I'm going insane at this point. I blink and it's gone. Shaking my head, I make it to the cafe. Clocking in felt like a small relief for once. Something normal to hold on to, but the unsettling feeling lingers. As I flip the sign from closed to open, the hum of the morning outside seeps in. A few regulars filter through the door, and soon enough I'm caught in the rhythm of pouring lattes, calling out orders and wiping down counters. The door of the back storage swings open, and Daryl walks in. Struggling to balance a large cardboard box filled with decorations, he stops mid-step when he sees me, his eyes widening. Oh, wow. Oh, wow yourself, Daryl, because you're hot AF. Hey, yo. He's so pretty. God, this art style is gorgeous. He looks at me, his eyebrows shooting up. Not to be rude, but see you in a mirror. You look like the Grim Reaper. I shoot him a flat look, turning back to wipe down the counter. Good morning to you too, Daryl. Let me guess. Same nightmare. I shrug, trying to avoid his gaze. What do you think? He sighs, shaking his head. That makes sense. That makes that what? 5 nights a week? You sure it's not a sign? Maybe the universe or whoever is trying to tell you something. I snort. Yeah? Like what? Get some help? Thanks. I hadn't figured that one out. Daryl doesn't laugh. Instead, he narrows his eyes at me. I can tell he's about to say something obnoxious. Actually, he starts, pausing. I think your boyfriend is a little pissed off at you. I stop mid-swipe and glance at him. Boyfriend? He grins, leaning closer like he's about to reveal some secret. You know, the guy you never talk about anymore or visit, not even at his funeral. His voice takes on a half-serious tone. Honestly, if I were him, I'd start haunting your ass. Maybe throwing objects at you if you ever bring someone home. I glare at him, even as my stomach knots. Daryl, please don't joke like that because I think that's actually gonna happen. First of all, he was never my boyfriend. Second, I don't think ghosts work like that. Sure. He nods dramatically, clearly enjoying himself. But are you really sure? You two were practically joined at the hip before everything went down. You can't tell me you never thought about it. I roll my eyes and start stacking the clean mugs. Clive's not my type. Yes, he is. He's my type. Yeah, huh. So you're saying that you never, not even once, found him attractive? The question catches me off guard. For a moment, I don't know how to answer. He hasn't let me, though. Because let me tell you, from the way you used to talk about him before, you know, you started pretending he didn't exist. You made him sound like Prince Charming. I only described how he was. That doesn't mean anything. Why did I pretend he didn't exist? I'm sure maybe there was a good reason. Oh, okay. So it's just a coincidence you've been hit by a bus every time you have one of those nightmares about him. Totally unrelated. I glance at him, biting back a retort. But his smug expression makes it impossible instead, so I sigh. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe. He admits, still smirking. But I'm right about one thing. If you don't figure out what's going on in that sleep-deprived brain of yours, it's gonna keep messing with you. Daryl adjusts the box in his hands, taking a step back towards the storage room. Well, I better go before our manager decides to fire both of us. You know, for the crime of having a conversation during work time. His voice drips with sarcasm, but his gaze softens as he adds. Seriously though, try not to obsess over it too much, alright? And if something weird happens, just call me. But don't expect me to come holding sage and holy water. I'm not exactly equipped for ghost busting. I can't help but laugh. Thanks, Daryl. I'll try not to summon any shadow people just to make you prove that. He chuckles, shaking his head. I'd rather not see you end up in some Exorcist sequel. Shifting the box in one arm, he shoots me a quick thumbs up with the other. Alright, I'm out. Don't overthink it, yeah? As he heads towards the storage room, a faint sense of relief settles in my chest. Talking to Daryl helped me feel a bit more sane. The hours fly by until the cafe slows down. I'm wiping down the table when I hear a group of first-year university students. Probably, judging by their energy. No, I'm serious. One of them says, leaning forward. Spirits manifest in dreams all the time. It's like a connection thing. Soul ties or whatever. Soul ties? Another voice scoffs. You're so full of it. No, listen. It's like if someone has unresolved stuff, their spirit can latch onto someone they were close to. They show up in your dreams because it's easier to communicate there or something. I read about it. I freeze mid-step. The damp cloth clutched in my hand. Their words echo in my head and for a second I forget to breathe. Unresolved. Close to someone. Dreams. The puzzle pieces I've been avoiding start snapping together in ways I don't like. By the time my shift ends, the idea is stuck deep into my mind like a splinter I can't pull out. The keys jingle in my hand as I stand in front of my apartment door, trying to fit the right one into the lock. My fingers tremble, betraying the calm I'm trying to fake. After a couple of failed attempts, the lock finally gives way with a dull click. Finally! I mutter under my breath, shoving the door open with my shoulder. The bag slides off my arm and lands on the couch as I toss off my shoes. My mind is racing. The words I overheard at the cafe striking my curiosity. I head straight to my room, shutting the door behind me with a soft click. My laptop sits on the desk staring back at me like it's eager to spill answers as I am to find it. I drop into my chair, pulling the laptop open with one hand while the other hovers over the keyboard. How do I even phrase this? The search engine offers a flood of results. My eyes scan over the screen, each click pulling me deeper into a rabbit hole of half-truths and myths and coincidences. Ways a spirit manifests. Oh, then the laptop glitches violently all of a sudden, the screen tearing with bursts of neon colors. Oh god, I pause, watching as lines of text glitch and jitter. This is scary, Ree. No. I whisper, not now. The mouse freezes and the screen stutters again, lines of static running through it. My heart pounds as the browser crashes entirely. Crap! I slam my hand against the desk, anger bubbling over. Of all the times it decides to die, it's right freaking now. The screen flares back to life, but it's not the browser this time. A single line of text appears, always looking for answers anywhere else but me. My stomach drops. Again, my voice is barely audible. Will you let me in? I am having the best time at the moment. This is so good. I stare at the words. Each letter pulses like a heartbeat, taunting me. The choice feels impossibly heavy. My mind is screaming at me to shut the laptop and throw it out the window. But my fingers move of their own accord, typing yes before I can talk myself out of it. The moment I click enter, the room falls silent. Unnaturally silent. Then the doorbell rings. I freeze. It rings again. My heart pounds as I stand, my legs feeling like jello. Each step towards the door feeling heavier than the last. The door chimes a third time. Impatient. As I finally reach the handle, I open the door. There he is. Yiddy. He's dead? Probably, mayhaps he's a zombie? Wait, if he is a zombie and he is dead, does that mean he's just like permanently slanging it at full mast? Because, you know, rigor mortis and everything? Food for thought. You're hot. Clive, he's standing there. My mind immediately rejects what I'm seeing. It's impossible. His body, what was left of it, was buried 3 years ago. And yet here he is, standing on my doorstep. Maybe if I reach out and give him like a ye-old boop on the chest, then we can figure out if he's real or not. Yiddy. His voice is the same. Low and teasing. But there's an edge to it now. A weight it didn't carry before. Miss me? Yes? I stumble back, nearly tripping over my own feet. No, this isn't real. You're not real. You're not imagining things. I'm real. He sighs as he steps into the house, arms still crossed. Oh, he's gorgeous. He's so pretty. But a spirit? Really, Yiddy? I'm a little offended. My throat feels tight. My words barely scraping out. I'm not crazy. No one said you were. He says smoothly, tilting his head. Just wrong assumption. Clive, I manage, my voice cracking. Your face. Your body. I saw you. I know. Trust me. I saw the whole thing. I feel dizzy. Memories of that day rising back to the surface. Why are you here? His eyes lock onto mine. Something unreadable flickering behind them. To show you the truth. The truth about what? My voice wavers, anger and fear bleeding together. You think you can just show up like this after all this time and... The truth about them. He interrupts, his voice sharp. The people you called your friends. The lies they told you. What happened the day of the accident. His words hit like a punch to the gut, but anger flares in me, boiling, uncontrollable. No, I snap. You don't get to come back and play victim. You think I don't remember what you said about me? How you... His stoic expression disappears entirely, replaced by something raw and broken. Great, we made our zombie boyfriend upset. Apologize, Yiddy. You really think I'd do that to you? His voice lowers, thick with disbelief. You trusted them over me. Them, after everything. I clench my fists, tears threatening to spill. They were my friends too, Clive. What am I supposed to do when everyone said the same thing? When I literally heard the recording, when you didn't even ask me. He cuts in, his voice cracking. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. You just freaking ignored me. His voice drops an octave at the last words. I swallow, trying to hold the eye contact, but the weight of it is unbearable. You don't get it. I whisper. I didn't know what to believe. They said so many things about you. You didn't exactly make it easy to trust you. Clive's jaw tightens, his gaze piercing through me. And that's supposed to justify it. What else could I do? You blocked me and acted as if I didn't exist anymore every time I'd beg you to talk to me. Did I have any other options? You didn't even try, Yiddy. Do you know what they did to me? Watching you laugh with them. Hearing them talk about me like I was some disgusting freak. And you. He cuts himself off, exhaling sharply, his composure cracking. My chest tightens. Guilt rising its way up my throat. I thought I was protecting myself. I say, barely audible. I didn't want to believe it, but I didn't want to be wrong either. I had no idea what to do. He shakes his head, his expression softening into something closer to sadness. You were supposed to trust me. After everything we've been through, you were supposed to believe me, not them. Tears sting at the corner of my eyes, but I blink them away, my voice rising in frustration. And what about you, huh? I tried. You think I didn't try? Would you have listened to me if I had screamed the freaking truth at the top of my lungs? No, you decided I was guilty before I even opened my mouth. I tried to respect your boundaries. I waited and waited, but you never came back. I'm sorry, I whisper finally, the words feeling pitifully inadequate. Clive closes his eyes, exhaling for the second time. It's not about an apology, Uni. I'm not here to punish you, and I'm not here to haunt you. You're all I have. I'm here because you need to know what really happened, what they were hiding from you, what they did to both of us, and I'm not giving up until I get our bond back. Okay, probably very scary, but me playing this right now, I am so attracted to Clive, it's very hot. My stomach churns at his words. The implication is making my knees weak. What are you talking about? Clive steps closer. His once vibrant eyes, now faded and colorless, search mine. You've been running towards danger and you don't even know it. They lied to you, Uni, about everything. And it cost me my life. Clive, I can't show you everything. He interrupts, his voice softening. Not yet, but I can give you enough to start. You deserve to know the truth, even if it hurts. I nod slowly, my chest tight with anticipation. You might regret asking for this, Uni, but once I start, there's no going back. I need to know, I say firmly, though I'm basically dying with anxiety. He gives me a faint, humorless smile, still as stubborn as ever. I guess this is why I fell in love with you in the first place. Oh, he's so cute. Clive mumbles something under his breath as I watch him. His voice so quiet, it's almost drowned out by my thoughts alone. What? I narrow my eyes, raising an eyebrow at him. Nothing, he says quickly, brushing it off like it's not worth my time. He turns towards my room, his posture a little too casual. You should turn off your laptop. Unless you want to pay one hell of a bill. I blink. Right, because that's definitely my biggest concern right now. I mutter, my voice laced with sarcasm. Still, I follow him, because what else am I supposed to do? Soon we're back in my room, and I shut the laptop with a click, pretending like the mundane task is grounding me. Spoiler alert, it's not. Clive lingers behind me, unmoving. There's something too deliberate about the way he's standing, like he's waiting for a cue only he can hear. His eyes flicker towards me for a second, his gaze heavy and unreadable. Then without a word, he lifts his hands. At first it's just empty air, but then a faint red glow sparks to life between his palms. It flickers. But before I can make sense of it, the glow grows stronger, brighter, too bright. It floods the room, bathing everything in its surreal crimson light. What? My voice trails off as I squint against the brightness, shooting my eyes with one hand. Really, what's the point? Honestly, after everything I've been through the past few weeks, this doesn't even crack the top 10. My life's been one hell of a fever dream lately. What's one more weird thing to add to the list? I mean, sure, a weird red light filling the room, coming out of my supposedly dead ex-best friend's palms. Cool. Oh, he's so pretty. He's so cute. He is so cute. I was so in love with him. Clive glances at me, his expression tinged with guilt. His lips pressed together before he finally speaks, his voice back to its usual soft tone. Sorry if the light's too much. It won't last long, I promise. Just hold on a bit more, okay? You're doing so good. Don't say you're doing so good to me, sir. Right now, you are doing things to me. The words hang in the air. There's something almost tender about the way he says it. That's the kind of tenderness that comes wrapped in barbed wire, like he's trying to soothe me while pulling strings I didn't know he held. What a line. I don't respond, mostly because I can't. The red light consumes everything, twisting the room into something unrecognizable, and nausea rises, sharp and fast. No. Please no. I send a light prayer to whatever cosmic force might be listening to spare me from the ultimate humiliation. Throwing up would take this moment from unsettling to flat out mortifying. Obviously because I cry too, special thanks to emetophobia. Then just as quickly as it started, the light disappears. The room is gone. Or maybe I'm gone from it. Either way, I find myself standing in a long washed-out corridor that seems to stretch endlessly in one direction. Doors line the walls, their warped frames leaning at odd angles. Everything about this place feels wrong, like it was built in a rush by someone who didn't quite understand how reality works. This is it, Clive says, breaking the silence. His voice carries a strange mix of pride and apprehension. He gestures vaguely at the corridor. Memory lane. Memory lane, of course. I bite back the urge to say something snarky. Instead, I glance at him, my stomach twisting as I brace myself for whatever a nightmare is about to throw me into. I try to find words, but Clive basically reads my mind. I'll explain when we're back. We don't have much time, he says. His tone is sharp and urgent. His gaze darts towards the corridor like he's afraid it might come alive and swallow us both. Stuck here. Great. Fantastic. Just what I needed to hear. I built this place. Oh, but I can't control what happens here. It's tied to my consciousness, so one intrusive thought and it's over. Just stick close to me and you'll be fine. Very reassuring. Thanks. This is why I feel like I could never build like a mind palace. Mainly because like my ADHD would just make me have like one thought and everything would fall apart. and suddenly what is supposed to be a nice mansion is now hellfire with a pink elephant in it. I deadpan, crossing my arms. Clive ignores the sarcasm, already turning away. Let's go. For a moment I hesitate. My brain tells me to turn around and find a way out of this mess. But then I trail after him because let's be real, I don't exactly have a better plan. The sound of my footsteps echo hollowly in the corridor, each step like a countdown to something I'm not ready to face. Till the sound of crying stops me in my tracks. It's faint at first, barely audible, but it grows louder with each step. My head snapping towards the sound. Do you hear that? I ask, my voice a little too shaky for my liking. Clive doesn't stop, doesn't even look back. His voice is flat and cold in a way that makes my chest tighten. Ignore it. Trust him. I'm gonna trust him this time. Freaking bastard. Clive mumbles something under his breath, his words barely a whisper. Why do you keep on mumbling? I ask, sighing. It's nothing. Just don't lose focus. His voice is calm, but there's something fragile hidden in it. Easier said than done. I mutter, sighing as I try to push the sound away. The crying still lingers, but I force myself to take another step forward. Clive slows his pace, turning to face me. His expression softens even if the tension in his eyes doesn't cease. Here, he says, extending a hand towards me. Hold on to me. It's safer that way. There's something in his voice. Fear, maybe. I take his hand, his cold skin almost burning against mine, grounding me. Don't let go. He murmurs, his gaze shifting away as if he can't bear to meet my eyes. I wasn't planning to. I reply quietly, gripping his hand a little tighter. We walk in silence. I try to focus on Clive's presence beside me. Crazy to say, but he managed to get even taller. His grip tightens like he's afraid I'll slip away. Finally, we step in front of the doors. Clive doesn't speak at first. He just looks at me. His expression is unreadable, as if it's searching for something. An answer maybe, or reassurance that I'm ready. And then without a word, he pushes the door open. The room beyond is silent, vast and empty in a way that makes my stomach ache. The walls stretch too far. The air feels too still. Clive steps inside, his movements deliberate and slow. He glances at the floor and then back at me, his hesitation flickering across his face. Can I just say how gorgeous he is and I love how small his waist is? It's very distracting. You need to close your eyes. He mumbles, his voice soft. Why? I'll tell you when to open them. This is how we enter the memories. I nod, my heart drumming loudly in my ears. It's gonna start with our first meeting. He adds, a shy smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Because, it's one of my favorite memories. The admission catches me off guard. There's something almost pure in the way he says it. A quiet vulnerability that makes my stomach flutter. I close my eyes as instructed, trying to ignore any second thoughts. Alright, you can open them now, Clive says after a moment. When I do, the emptiness is gone, replaced by the wild chaos of a playground. Children shout and laugh in the distance, but my focus snaps immediately to a boy sitting on the ground, gathering his scattered supplies with his small trembling hands. Are you okay? My younger self's voice breaks through the memory, every word tinged with concern. The boy, Clive, looks up sharply, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. Aww, he's so cute. Please, just leave. He speaks, his voice barely audible. If they see you with me, they'll tease you too. I watch as my younger self folds her arms, stubborn. I don't care about them. I can beat them if they try anything. His eyes widen, startled by the confidence in her voice. They're just jealous. They don't know how cool you are. Clive looks away, his shoulders slumping. Cool. I'm a foster kid. I live in an educational community. Being friends with me isn't fun. I can't do most of the things you do. If I ever do get to go out, I have to have educators following me everywhere. I'm no... Aunt? You're my friend. That doesn't change my opinion. I want to be as cool as you are. The younger me cuts him off firmly. And we're always going to be friends, no matter what. The conviction in her voice makes something in my chest ache. Clive blinks, his mouth opening to protest, but younger me doesn't stop. And I can't wait to have an artist friend someday. I love your drawings. No need to hide them behind your back. I saw them. Clive's eyes widen, and for the first time I notice a shift. The dullness in his eyes fades, replaced by the brightest and prettiest shade of purple I've ever seen. Then I'll always be by your side. The playground blurs and fades around me, until we're back in the empty room. The memory still lingering in my mind. Clive's voice breaks through the silence, soft but filled with hurt. How could you ever think I talked bad about you? I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. He chuckles, but it's hollow, his pain bleeding through despite the smile on his face. I've basically been nothing but a loyal guard dog ever since then, devoted to you, waiting every weekend for you to visit me at the educational community like you promised. You're all I had, you know? My throat tightens again, guilt coiling in my stomach like a vice. Every Friday, I'd stare at the clock like I could make time go faster, just so you'd show up immediately. Those visits kept me going. Clive continues, rubbing the back of his neck, his shy smile still there, but his tone shifts, more serious now. That aside, I have to show you what we came here for. I can't show you everything today, but you deserve to know the truth. Before I can respond, the world around us shifts, the air changing as another memory begins to take shape. In a blink, I'm standing in the school cafeteria. The headache-inducing hum of the fluorescent lights fills the air, casting an unnatural glow on the familiar rows of frozen tables. My breath catches in my throat when I see them. Mia and Silas. It's been so long since I've seen them. It's like they vanished after the accident, leaving nothing but whispers behind. They're standing near one of the tables, speaking in hushed tones. For a fleeting moment, I forget this is just a memory. I want to call out to them, ask them where they've been, and why they disappeared. But the words never come. They're very pretty though. Did you manage to get Yini to trust you yet? Or at least a phone number? Mia grins audibly, rolling her eyes. Ugh. How can I get closer when Clive is glued to her side like I'm about to kidnap her? Don't worry. I know how to deal with him. I just need Yini to let me take her home. Clive will lose it, confront me, and then I can record him. Once I have a clean recording of his voice, I can clone it and make him say whatever I want. Calling him won't work. He never picks up. But this... He gestures with a satisfied grin. This will destroy him. Yini is his only weak spot in the end. A wave of nausea hits me. Disgust, anger, and betrayal. It all floods my mind at once, choking me. I want to scream. To punch them both. To do something. But I can't move. I'm trapped. A helpless observer as they reveal their true colors. Before I can catch my breath, the memory dissolves again. I'm standing outside my house, when I just moved out after leaving my parents' place, wanting to finish the last exams before graduation. Everything feels distant, like I'm watching through frosted glass. I see Clive, his posture tense, his hands balled into fists. I will say, Clive is like 100% my type. He's very hot. What the hell are you doing here? Clive's voice is sharp, cutting through the quiet of the street. Silas glances at him, leaning casually against the gate, unimpressed. You got balls saying that when you look like you just robbed a bank. What's with the disguise? Going full stalker mode. You give me the chills, dude. He's so tall. I'm not disguising myself. I just got off my bike, genius. He waved at his parked bike for emphasis. And even if I was following her, at least I have a reason. I've known her for years. What's your excuse? Sure, years of undying loyalty or obsessive clinging. I have no idea how Yini puts up with you. It must be pity because you're a real pain in the ass. If following her is justified, I wonder if she'd think if I told her. Clive steps closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous low. If you even think about telling Yini everything, I'll make sure everyone knows. A sudden loud sound cuts him off. I can't hear the rest, but the way Silas's expression falters tells me Clive's words landed a hit. Whatever. Guess I've overstayed my welcome. Silas turns to leave, throwing a dismissive glance over his shoulder. Have fun playing bodyguard while you still can. Frustration bubbles inside me as Silas walks away. What did he say? The unanswered question claws at my patience. Silas's voice pulls me back. He's holding his phone now, a smug grin spreading across his face as he taps the screen. Poor bastard. His voice drops to a venomous whisper. You really don't know what's coming, do you? How could you? You leave Clive alone. I know this is in the past, but I hate you and your yee-ass haircut. Even if you're trying to expose me, who's gonna believe you? If they hear you saying certain things, they'll think you're just covering your own ass by pointing fingers at me. The memory shifts again. I'm standing in the library now. The smell of old paper and ink mingling with the heavy tension in the air. Silas is seated at a computer, his face illuminated by the glow of the screen. I hate him. He mutters under his breath, typing furiously. How can someone like him, a foster kid, get adopted by a rich piece of shit while I have to risk everything just to get by? A creeping sense of unease spreads through me. What's he doing? What's he risking? The scene fractures, and a sharp, searing pain shoots through my chest. I stumble, the world spinning violently around me. No. Clive's voice trembles through the chaos. I had to warn her. Please, pick up. Pick up. His desperation is palpable. Every word laced with panic. Then there's a sound of a sharp crack, the sound of a phone smashing against a hard surface. What's happening? I feel so bad for Clive. Did you think threatening me would work? I'll leak your photos anyway. And the money I'll get thanks to your lovely Yini. It'll go for a good cause. The roar of a motorcycle cuts through the noise, followed by a gut-wrenching crash. The sound is deafening, violent, metal screeching, shattering. For a moment everything goes silent, and an unnatural, suffocating stillness. Yini. My eyes shoot open, and I realize I'm standing in the middle of the room. My breaths are quick and uneven. The walls around me feel like they're closing in, space growing suffocating. Hey, it's okay. Clive steps forward, his voice soft and steady. His concern is evident from the way he watches me. I can't bring myself to meet his gaze. It's overwhelming. The guilt, the exhaustion, the fragments of memories I can't get pieced together. My legs threaten to give out beneath me for the 100th time today. But before they do, Clive reaches out, his hand hovering just near my arm like he's afraid I'll flinch. You're having an anxiety attack. His voice is calm, even as his eyes betray the quiet panic he's trying to hide. Let's get through this together, yeah? He gently guides me to sit down, crouching so we're at eye level. I can feel the warmth of his presence pulling me back from the void that's threatening to pull me in. Breathe with me. His own breathing slows deliberately, and I try. God, I try to match his pace. His voice is steady, soft yet firm as he leads me through each breath. You did amazing now. Let's try grounding. Look around. Tell me 5 things you can see. I hesitate, my mind racing too fast to focus, but his presence keeps me anchored. His eyes never leave mine. A silent reassurance I'm not alone. The window, my desk, the lamp, my bed, you. Good. There's something in his tone. Something tender, as if such simple words mean more to him than they should. 3 things you can hear. I focus on the sounds around me, forcing myself to listen. The wind outside. Your voice. My heartbeat. He nods, encouraging me to keep going. As my mind starts to clear, the weight pressing on my chest lightens and the air feels a little less suffocating. Now 4 things you can touch. I follow his instruction, reaching out to the nearest objects, naming each one aloud. By the time I finish, my breath is steadier, enough for me to think clearly again. Can I hug you? His voice wavers, quiet, almost shy. You can do whatever you want to me. Oh, I love that there's different skin tones. That's really, really good. I nod, unable to find the words. A hug sounds perfect right now. Aww. When his arms wrap around me, it's as if everything melts away. He holds me close, his touch firm yet careful as if I might break. I can feel the tension in his body, the way he holds his breath in like he's afraid of doing too much. For a moment, I let myself lean into him, letting his warmth chase away the lingering cold in my chest. I'm so sorry, I managed to whisper, still a bit out of breath from the earlier event. I feel so guilty for not giving you the chance to explain back then. Clive pulls away slightly, just enough to look at me. His hands linger on my arms, his thumb brushing lightly against my skin. His expression is unreadable, like he's holding back something he can't say. What really happened? The accident? Silas, Clive shakes his head, his expression soft but firm. You've already seen enough today. There's a lot to digest, and you need to let your mind breathe. You must be exhausted from that anxiety attack alone. His voice is gentle, but there's a quiet authority in it. But I'll tell you everything when the time is right. The way he says it, so quiet, so certain, makes my protest die in my throat. His eyes hold mine for a moment longer. Right now, you need to rest. He steps back, giving me space. Now please get some sleep. I'll visit you tomorrow at your job. I'll wear contacts and, concealer. Hopefully I won't look like an orange with it on. He offers a faint chuckle. Are you leaving? I ask, the ache in my chest growing heavier. Can't you stay? You've been through enough for one night and I need to take care of something. But I promise I'll be back. Please rest, Yinny. But I want you to stay. I want to hold you close and hold your hand and kiss you and tell you that I love you. I open my mouth to protest, but before I can even form the words, Clive shuts the door behind him. Clive exhales sharply, the breath he'd been holding in all along finally escaping. His hands tremble as he rubs his temples. God, I missed your voice. Your beautiful eyes. I wish you'd only look at me like that. He shakes his head abruptly, the yearning in his expression hardening into determination. His jaw tightens. There's something he needs to deal with. Something unfinished. Is he gonna go murk Silas? Because if he is, I absolutely support him. Can I come along? I have a brick. He is actually gonna go murk Silas. Woohoo! Yinny, we really shouldn't be cheering about things like this. Go, Clive, go! Kick his ass! Okay, maybe I shouldn't be celebrating. I feel kind of bad for Silas now. I can't take this anymore. I just want to die. I just want to die. Slam. Another violent hit echoes as Silas throws his head against the wall again. You think slamming your head against the wall will kill you? He steps closer, his shadow looming over Silas. It won't. You don't deserve to die, Silas. You deserve to rot. To feel every ounce of pain you've inflicted on everyone else. Death is too easy for someone like you. You had a lot of courage, making all of that noise the moment you heard Yinny's voice. Wait, is he stuck in Clive's, dream palace thing? Did you think she'd help you? Yinny is so close to finding out what kind of human garbage you are. And I'll make sure you stick around long enough to face it all. You're insane, you know that? She'll never accept you. Not after everything. What happens when her family gets in the way? You'll lock them up too. Let them rot because you can't control your jealousy. Oh my god, that's so hot. That's something you do. I respect her boundaries unlike you. I never stoop to your level. That is wild. I really want to know what Clive actually is. I sit down on my bed, staring at the ceiling. The events of today replaying in my head. No matter how hard I try and focus on tomorrow, my mind keeps wandering back to Clive. He's never been the type to leave early, especially when I'm upset. Tonight, he felt different. I shift under the blankets, frowning. What is he doing right now? Is he okay? Why didn't he stay longer? I pull the blanket around my shoulders, curling into it like it can shield me from the storm in my head. My fingers hover over my phone screen. An empty gesture more than anything. I don't even have his phone number anymore. The thought stings, a bitter reminder of the distance between us, even after everything. That broken phone from earlier, it had to be his. Did he even bother replacing it? I sigh, sinking deeper into the blankets. He said he'd see me tomorrow. And Clive always keeps his word. Right? I close my eyes. And for the first time in what feels like forever, I let myself imagine that maybe, just maybe, we can figure things out. As sleep pulls me under, I think of his shy smile. His words echoing in my mind. I'll always be by your side. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Good ending. Thus we begin again. I'm very, very glad we got the good ending. I'm gonna try and get the bad endings as well because I want to see everything that happens. But I cannot wait for this to continue. I know this is a demo for now, but I cannot wait to see more of Clive. I'm so in love with this. This is written so well. Alright, gonna make a bunch of bad decisions to try and get the bad ending, like block the number. My thumb hovers over the screen, the notification glaring at me. I don't want to do this. But I can't keep ignoring it either. I swipe to block the number. My hand shakes, the motion sluggish. Like my body's fighting against itself. It feels like the right thing to do. It has to be. Before I can exhale, another message pops up. My heart skips a beat. Rude. It's not supposed to work like this. I blocked him. So how? I stare at the screen, my breath catching in my throat. Before I can think of a reply, the message vanishes. What the? I stare at the empty screen, my heart hammering in my ears. Maybe I'd imagined it. Lack of sleep could do that, right? I haven't been getting enough sleep these days, just my tired brain playing tricks on me. Yeah, that has to be it. Shaking off the lingering unease, I swing my legs over the side of the bed. Getting ready will help me clear my head. Nothing better than a shower to try and wash away all of that negativity. I make my way to the bathroom, my feet dragging against the floor. The day has barely begun and I'm exhausted already. Alright, moving on. Ooh, wow. This time we're gonna throw this away. My fingers twitch at my side, caught between curiosity and dread. The heart has gone down by 1. I'm kinda worried. What if we say no? I didn't even bother to read it this time. I'm tired of this. Tired of his games. It's in months. Months of him, months of these tricks. I slam the laptop shut and stand, the room tilting for a moment. Behind me, I feel him. Why do you keep ignoring me? Oh my god, he's broken in! His voice is soft, but there's a bitter edge to it. After everything we've been through, why won't you talk to me? I spin around, glaring at him. Shut up! Oh, the words spill out before I can stop them. My voice shakes and I don't care. You're so annoying. He flinches. For a moment it looks like he's about to cry, but he doesn't. He just stands there, watching with that same hurt, confused look. Like he's trying to understand what he did wrong. I feel so bad. You think I'm yours? You think I'm some object? His jaw tightens, but he doesn't speak. I laugh, bitter and sharp, the sound cutting through the silence. Let me tell you something, Clive. If I was nice to you when we were kids, that doesn't mean you have the right to think I belong to you. You're a freaking creep. His lips part like he's trying to say something, but no words come out. Instead, the room flickers. The edges of my vision blur and the space around us distorts, bending and shifting. Darkness swallows everything. And I hear a voice, some distant and ancient. The words echo like they're being read to me from a dream. My hand pulled at the serpent and pulled. In vain, I failed to pull the serpent out of his throat. Then, they cried out at me. Bite. Bite its head off. Bite. So it cried out at me. My horror and my pity. All my good and my bad cried with one voice out of me. Oh no, I'm so screwed. What was that? I noticed a warmth on my hand. Sticky. Wet. My breath hitches as I glance down. My fingers are curled tight around the knife handle, the one I grabbed earlier to slice some fruit. No, Clive is on the floor, the knife buried deep in his torso. Blood pools beneath him, painting the carpet with a dark vivid stain. His lips part, blood dripping from the corners of his mouth, but his eyes. I feel so bad. I'm gonna move so we can see. But I feel awful. His eyes are soft, filled with something I can only describe as love. I am a terrible person. Thank you. He whispers, his voice breaking. Thank you for giving me a chance to relive my life with you. Even if it ends like this, I can't breathe. I've loved you. I love you. Ever since we were kids, I've always loved you. He smiles at me, fragile, trembling, like he's clinging to his last bit of strength. And then his body goes still. The room is silent except for my ragged breathing. What if someday or night a demon were to steal you into the loneliest loneliness and say to you, the life as you now live it and have lived it, you'll have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it, but pain and every joy and every thought and sigh. And everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus? Or have you experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, "You're a god and never have I ever heard anything more divine"? Friedrich Nietzsche. Bad ending 1. The cycle ends here. The Ouroboros is split. No! I feel like a butthole. I'm gonna try and get the other ending then. Okay, this time I'll pick Don't Trust Him. Everything feels off. From the very beginning, my gut twists. Screaming at me not to trust him. This isn't the Clive I once knew. Was he ever? The crying grows louder, cutting through my thoughts. Before I can stop myself, my legs move, panic taking control. I break away from Clive, running towards a sound. I need answers, but no matter how far I go, I end up right back where I started, trapped in an endless loop. Stop it. Clive's voice echoes, sharp and desperate. He's trembling, his fist clenched. Please stop. You don't know what you're doing. Fear takes over, muddling my thoughts, numbing my senses. I can't stop myself. It feels like my body's on autopilot, chasing something I can't reach. Like a horse running until it collapses. And then pain. It strikes like lightning, searing through me, starting at my neck and shooting down my spine. My knees buckle and I crash to the floor and I can't move. Every nerve screams as memories I never wanted resurface. Pain not mine but his. Every broken bone, every breath stolen, Clive's agony lives in me now. Why won't you listen? His voice breaks, his sobs choking his words. No matter how much I try to keep you safe, you always mess everything up. His screams echo, roar in anguish as he collapses into his grief. I try to answer. To say anything, but the throbbing pain swallows me whole until darkness covers my vision. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As all the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. Bad ending 2. Curiosity killed the cat. He knows what's best for you. You know? You should trust him. Why would he hurt you when he... No. You're not ready for that information yet. See you next time, Uni. My god, that was so good. That was incredible. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. Like, from the moment I saw it, I knew it was going to be something, like, special. Because, one, I love the design of him so much. And then I read the premise and I was like, okay, infinite cycles, Ouroboros, and like Nietzsche, like they're all concepts that I personally really like. Back in university, I actually did a unit on Nietzsche in my bachelor's, and it was one of the most interesting units I've ever had the pleasure of doing. I think this was brilliantly written. The prose was gorgeous. The premise of the story itself is so interesting. And it kind of almost gives off that like infinite flow vibe, like unlimited flow, which is a genre that I personally really like, which is kind of like the entering of like different worlds, in this case like memories, to sort of experience and piece together something. But you always end up returning to your hub world where you're trying to solve what's actually going on. And that's a concept that I see a lot in like Chinese fiction, like Dan Mei in particular. So what comes to mind to me at the moment is Kaleidoscope of Death, which is one of my absolute favorite series that I've ever read. But this is kind of giving like that same vibe, and I really like it. The whole like cycle, like rebirth that is centered around the Ouroboros is something that's very interesting to me. The whole underlying notion of like death itself, right? Like you have regrets, and often when you lose someone, you really want there to be answers, want there to be closure. But then this is also kind of pointing towards that whole, okay, but what if you did have a chance to get closure? Is it really something that you want? Like what if you're too scared to face what's actually happening? And I think this portrays that so well. I'm so happy that I got to play something this incredible. The art was gorgeous, the story was written beautifully, it was set out so well, and I know this is a demo, but I really cannot wait and hope that there will be an update to the continuation of the good ending. Because I want to see the relationship with Clive develop further, and I want to see what actually happens to Silas, because it's very obvious now that Silas is an absolute terrible human being, and your friends actually caused Clive's death, which I am so sad about. So yeah, I really want to see how this plays out. Clive himself is such an interesting character, because I think it's very clear that even when he was a human, despite having the best intentions, that kind of obsession towards someone and dedication isn't necessarily a healthy mindset to have. Despite how kind he is, I think it would have been best if he had like a healthy way to, I guess, confront his feelings for you. However, also acknowledging the fact that, you know, he had a very troubled childhood because he was adopted and dealt with a lot of bullying that came with it. So obviously there is a fear of abandonment there, so, you know, it pays to be empathetic in that sense. But I just find him such a tragic character, and I really wish I could have protected him. Because I think despite all the trauma that he's gone through, at his very core, he's kind, protective, and loyal, which are wonderful qualities, and I am so sad that something bad happened to him to the point where it caused him to lose his life. I am so sad. I hope that this actually, if we're going by the good branch, I hope there is a good ending, where he gets to relive his life with you and genuinely be happy again, because I feel like he deserves it. Like, all the comments about how cute he is and everything aside, I really hope that he is just happy. This was so good. I had so much fun. Absolute props to the developer for this. This was incredible. You should be so proud for making something so beautiful. I cannot wait to play more in the future, or any of your other titles if you do make any of those. I love this. Thank you so much for creating such a wonderful experience for me to play, and thank you to my lovely community for going on this adventure with me. If you guys like this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And also, if you want to hang out outside these videos, I stream on Twitch 3 times a week. Feel free to come over and hang out with me in the community. But that is all for now. Thank you so much again for everything, and until next time, take care!